With marital intimacy, she'd use a stopwatch to time us, despising every extra second, claiming it was to regulate hormones and prevent disease, treating me like a walking skincare product. It wasn't until her childhood sweetheart returned that her fastidiousness suddenly evaporated, and their lovemaking was an intense passion, even if it resulted in a ruptured ovarian cyst. She relished it. Only then did I understand. She didn't hate sex. She hated me. When I suggested divorce, she sneered. I lived to regret it. But the day she truly lost me, her world collapsed. Chloe burst into the guest room, disheveled and her hair a mess. Smack. A hard slap landed squarely on my face, stunning me. Did you sneak in and attack me while I was napping? Pa. Shameless. How can you be so disgusting? Pervert. Filthy. I am warning you, don't touch me without my permission. Otherwise, I can sue you for marital rape. Chloe screamed hysterically. The commotion drew Robert in. What's wrong, honey? Dad. I had a deep nap after drinking too much at a work event. I vaguely felt a man on me, and I thought I was dreaming, but when I woke up and saw the red marks on my body, I knew it wasn't a dream. Hearing's accusation, Robert immediately flared up. Without a word, he gave me a vicious kick to the gut. You scoundrel. How dare you bully my daughter? I was heavily kicked to the ground, curled up like a shrimp. The spiritual pain was far greater than the physical one. Not only had I not even gone into Chloe's room, but even if I had, did I deserve such treatment? I was Chloe's lawful husband. Humiliation, resentment, anger. Men don't cry easily, but he was truly heartbroken. My eyes welled up. I struggled to get up. You've gone too far. Cough. I coughed violently, but in Robert's eyes, I was merely playing the victim, still acting tough. Young punk. A man who can't make money shouldn't even think about touching my daughter. Chloe, letting you touch her once a month is already too much, if you ask me. Having a useless son-in-law like you is embarrassing. Robert grew angrier with each word, picking up a vase from the desk and smashing it onto my head. Before I lost consciousness, I saw Carol rush in. Oh no, you hit the wrong person. The man in Chloe's room just now wasn't him. It wasn't me. Could another man have impersonated me to be intimate with my wife? Was my wife really raped? I desperately wanted to get to the bottom of it, but I couldn't hold on any longer and plunged into endless darkness. I had a very long dream. On the first day of freshman orientation camp, I fell in love at first sight with Chloe, who was crying like a mess because the instructor had forced her to cut her long hair. I pursued her relentlessly for 2 years, only to be told, Ethan, you're a good person, because her eyes were only on Ryan. Compared to Ryan, the handsome Prince Charming, I was just a boring tech nerd. I could only write code. I couldn't ride a white horse. I watched, helpless, as Chloe, arm in arm with Ryan, entered the small motel near the campus, eyes full of affection. She found bliss in the hotel bathroom. I cried myself to sleep in my dark dorm room. I knew my place and stopped bothering her, until college graduation. Graduation day wasn't just about many people losing their jobs. It was also about many people losing their love. Chloe was an only child, and her parents wanted her to return to a smaller town after graduation, but was going abroad. They had a fierce argument, and in the end, Ryan just left, abandoned. Chloe cried endlessly, drinking herself into oblivion every night at bars. She was even nearly abducted by some thugs, and dragged into a public restroom to be violated. It was I, who had been following her out of concern, who rushed forward and fought fiercely with the thugs. I fought with all my might to prevent Chloe from being gang raped. The price was a broken arm, 3 stab wounds to my stomach, and a piece of my intestines hanging out. I nearly died. Chloe was touched. She said I was the best man for her. She said she'd be happy, choosing someone who loved her, and chasing someone she loved was too exhausting. So she proposed to me, crying. She asked if I'd be willing to be Ryan's substitute. I didn't hesitate. I said yes, because I loved Chloe so much. Before, even being a substitute was my extravagant hope. Now that I could step into that role, I was naturally more than willing. This should be the best ending for a doormat, shouldn't it? I felt very happy. I was an only child, too. But of course, I chose to live in Chloe's city after graduation. Chloe's father had some connections and helped her arrange a cushy, stable job, but my career ran into trouble. I studied computer big data, my grades were excellent, and many major tech firms wanted me even before I graduated. However, the resources in this industry were concentrated in a few large cities. Chloe's hometown had no relevant industry, so my talent was useless here. When I applied for jobs, I said I worked in computer big data, but all they cared about was whether I could fix computers. I could only find a mediocre paying job. Initially, I didn't feel wronged. I was willing to sacrifice for Chloe. Career was not as important as love, but as time went on, things became more and more unsettling. In the second year of our marriage, Chloe's family's historic district was redeveloped, and they received 3 apartments, instantly transforming from an ordinary family into a wealthy one. Chloe also flourished at her workplace, getting promoted to section chief. Every day, she drove a red BMW around town, a true wealthy socialite. Meanwhile, my company went bankrupt due to mismanagement. I wanted to find another job, but during that time, Carol fell ill and was hospitalized, needing care. They didn't trust caregivers, so they told me to stop working. They wanted me to focus on taking care of Carol and doing housework. Anyway, the Jiang family was rich, and didn't care about my meager salary. I agreed, doing the laundry, cooking, and helping with her personal needs. I felt I was helping Chloe fulfill her filial duty. Without any complaints or regrets, 2 years flew by, and Carol recovered. I had also become a skilled stay-at-home husband, but my sacrifices didn't earn their gratitude or respect. Instead, they became increasingly contemptuous and demeaning. They forgot that I gave up my profession for Chloe, and that I stayed home to care for Carol. Instead, they thought I was incompetent, didn't make money, had no future, and wasn't worthy of Chloe. Robert and Carol gave me a hard time every day. They hinted and cursed indirectly. Later, they didn't even bother with innuendo. They just directly mocked me to my face, and far from defending me, also changed her attitude towards me less than a year after we got married. Ethan, I am grateful to you, but I don't love you. I still can't forget that person. I married you out of spite toward Ryan. I even fantasized that Ryan would come to snatch me away on our wedding day. It's a shame he didn't come, which is why you got lucky. You marrying me was taking advantage of a difficult situation. I thought you were a substitute, but I was wrong. Ryan is irreplaceable. After that conversation, Chloe suggested we sleep in separate rooms. She said she actually didn't like marital intimacy at all. She found it disgusting, but she wasn't entirely unwilling to give me a chance for intimacy. Chloe stipulated that we could be intimate once a month, but the time had to be strictly controlled. She would use a stopwatch from the moment I entered her room until she took her post-coital shower. It could only be 4 minutes and 59 seconds in total. If I exceeded the time, she would get upset, even cursing loudly. Other women preferred it to last longer, but she thought it was unnecessary. The reason she granted me 1 opportunity each month wasn't because she saw it as a wife's duty. It wasn't out of fear that I would be deprived. It wasn't to have children. It was because she cared deeply about beauty and skincare. Books said that if a woman didn't receive a man's nourishment for too long, she would wither prematurely. Moderate marital intimacy, however, could stimulate hormone secretion in a woman's body, making her skin radiant, her mood cheerful, her body released, relieving stress, and delaying aging. It could also make a woman's menstrual cycle more regular, thereby alleviating period symptoms like chest tightness and back pain, and reduce the occurrence of gynecological diseases. So she would bestow this monthly opportunity upon me. Was I a husband? No, I was merely her hair conditioner and feminine wash. Wake up. Ethan, wake up. Someone shook me awake, and opening my eyes, I saw the faces of Chloe's family of 3. See, I told you he couldn't be killed. This scumbag has a cheap life. Robert said loudly. Carol pushed Robert with her hand. You old fool, what nonsense are you spouting? Then, with a fake smile, she turned to me. Ethan, it was a misunderstanding. All a misunderstanding. Your dad just has a bad temper. He means no harm. Let's just drop this. Drop it. I was beaten, and that was just it. But at that moment, more than my anger at being beaten, I was concerned that Chloe had truly been violated. Someone had entered her room silently, and assaulted her while she was drunk and napping. Chloe had mistakenly thought it was me, leading to this commotion. This was no longer just a marital conflict. It was a crime. Call the police. Someone assaulted Chloe. Where's my phone? I frantically fumbled for my phone, and fell off the bed. I landed right at Chloe's feet. Since I woke up, she had been cold-faced and silent, arms crossed. I grabbed her leg. Chloe, we need to go to the hospital for an examination. To collect evidence. We can't let that beast get away. Although the years of coldness and humiliation had deeply hurt me, I still loved Chloe. She was my first love, my guiding star. I could accept once-a-month marital intimacy. I had never thought of divorce. I had finally gotten the chance to be a substitute. I didn't want to give up easily. I always comforted myself, telling myself that Chloe was not yet 30, still very willful. When she turned 40 and truly matured, she would definitely realize that I was better than Ryan. Chloe impatiently shook her leg, making me stumble again. Ethan, why are you going crazy? I already said it was a misunderstanding. No. Didn't you say you felt a man enter while you were sleeping? Don't worry, I won't blame you for being soiled by this. You're also a victim. I patiently tried to persuade her, thinking Chloe was concerned about her reputation, worried that news of her being assaulted would spread and look bad. I also feared she thought I'd blame her for not protecting herself, giving the culprit an opportunity, which was why she was denying it. I was overthinking. I wasn't a traditional man. It was an open secret that Chloe and Ryan frequently went to hotels before she married me. I didn't mind it at all. Similarly, now that my wife had been wronged by a bad man, I wouldn't despise her for being soiled, nor would I blame her for being careless. Instead, I would cherish and comfort her even more. I even had a ridiculous thought. Perhaps after this accident, Chloe would become more sensible. Would she be moved by my thoughtfulness and tolerance? Would she stop sleeping in a separate room from me? Then this bad thing would turn into a good thing. But my tolerance was met with Chloe's fury. Ignoring that I had just woken up, she kicked me hard in the face again. Ethan, are you out of your mind? I was not assaulted by any man. I was just hallucinating in my sleep, and the red marks on my body are an allergic reaction. Thinking something filthy. Chloe was furious, as if she had been greatly wronged. Mom, didn't you say you saw another man? I could only turn to Carol for help. Carol glared at me. Shut your jinx mouth. My daughter is pure and innocent. How could there be such indecent things? You must have been hallucinating from being hit. I am not hallucinating. I was still arguing, then spat a mouthful of thick phlegm on my face. Stop spouting nonsense. Ethan, how can your heart be so vile and malicious? Are you jealous that Chloe is more successful than you? So deliberately slandering her, trying to ruin her. Dream on. I've long found you useless. If you had any self-respect, you'd get out of this house. Seeing sharp and severe demeanor, it would be a lie to say I wasn't wronged. In this family, besides Chloe, I had sacrificed the most for Carol. When she was bedridden and constipated, I used my hand, even my mouth. I stopped thinking about it. The more I thought, the more painful it became. Daughter, let's go. Don't bother with this scumbag. Carol helped Chloe walk away. I noticed Chloe's walking was a bit unsteady, as if she had discomfort in her hip area. Was I really hallucinating from being hit? No. I saw a used condom stuck to Chloe's nightgown. Chloe, still denying it. Why are you lying to me? I really broke down. Chloe grew impatient, ignoring Carol giving her a knowing look to stop her, and turned to scream at me. So annoying. Do you think he's Sherlock? He obsessed with being a detective. Yes. Ryan was here earlier. What's wrong with old friends politely sleeping together after so many years? I was dumbfounded. Can sleeping together be polite? Carol was downplaying the situation. That's right. Ryan came to visit at noon, and he brought many valuable gifts. This young man is doing so well now. TSK. Speaking of gifts, Carol's eyes gleamed with excitement. Chloe was napping then, and I said I'd wake her up, but he said there was no need, and he just went into Chloe's bedroom. I guess he just saw how beautiful Chloe was, and since they were old lovers, he couldn't resist. Chloe isn't even pursuing it, so why are you making a big deal out of it? Men should be more magnanimous. Ryan isn't an outsider. They were together before, so them sleeping together again is just like reviewing old lessons. Carol finished and then proudly added, never mind the gourmet gift baskets and other gifts. Ryan also gave me a pair of diamond bracelets, your father-in-law a Swiss gold watch, and Chloe the latest Hermes bag. All together, it must be hundreds of thousands. So generous. Robert, patting his belly, also bluntly said, yes, and it's not just about the money, it's mostly about giving our family face. I think Ryan is quite considerate. He didn't forget to use protection. That's a man you can trust. Otherwise, if Chloe got pregnant, would you even be willing to let her have an abortion? Wouldn't you just have to obediently end up raising another man's child? Ivy decided, this incident never happened, no one is allowed to talk about it. So people don't gossip about it and shame us. I won't allow that. In the Jiang family, my image as a doormat was deeply ingrained. Robert and Carol were certain I would never dare to divorce, but I couldn't hear their words anymore. Ryan was back. That bastard did this. What old flame? This was a shameful crime. Ignoring Anne Carol's incessant chatter, I excitedly grabbed Chloe's arm. Chloe, we can't let this go. Ryan abandoned her after using her before, and now he comes back and disrespects her like this. What gives him the right? Morality can't punish a scoundrel, but the law can. Don't worry. No matter what others say, your husband will always support you. Let's call the police. I thought Chloe chose to smooth things over due to pressure from Robert and Carol. One loved money and had been bought off. The other cared about appearances and didn't want family secrets exposed, so they wouldn't allow Chloe to pursue it. But as her husband, I had to be Chloe's strong backing. Slap. Chloe slapped my hand away. Enough. Ethan, are you crazy? Or are you incapable of common sense? I find it harder and harder to communicate with you. Chloe's face was full of helplessness and disdain. Sometimes I even wonder if your mom threw out the baby and raised the placenta when she gave birth to you. Otherwise, why do you always live in your own world? I am not going to pursue Ryan, do you understand? Even though I was asleep and didn't give my permission, Ryan was indeed impetuous. But I am not angry. This shows he still cares about me. He still loves me, which is why he couldn't control himself around me. This shows my charm is still the same as before, and I am very relieved. Do you understand? You big fool. Ultimately, this is my personal business, and it has nothing to do with you. You have no right to be jealous, because by seniority, Ryan is your senior. Oh, and since Ivy already slept with Ryan, your monthly marital intimacy quota is used up. Make an appointment for next month. Was I incapable of common sense, or was Chloe speaking nonsense? Chloe, do you know what he's saying? You my wife now. You not Ryan's girlfriend. How can you talk about losing your virginity so casually? Facing my roar, Chloe merely chuckled lightly. So what if I am your wife? I am not your slave. What era are we in that you're still talking about outdated notions of female virtue and chastity? How low? My body is my business. You don't need to meddle where you don't belong. Originally, this time with Ryan was just an accident. But if you anger me, do you believe you'll give him more opportunities? Anyway, we have better chemistry. Chloe looked at me disdainfully, as if I were a pitiful ant. The room had warm air, but I felt as if I were in eternal ice. Chloe, Ryan betrayed you, have you forgotten? How could you be so, I wanted to say, how could you be so base? But was, after all, the goddess I had loved for so many years. She could hurt me wantonly, stabbing me in the heart, but I couldn't bring myself to speak ill of her, so I didn't utter that last word base. But my mouth had already formed the shape, and Chloe understood. Chloe was enraged. Ethan, are you trying to start a rebellion? Don't try sowing discord between me and Ryan. Our breakup back then wasn't because Ryan didn't love me, he was just prioritizing his career. That's a real man. Unlike you, with no ambition, selling your dignity to be alive in son-in-law. I am low. Yes, I am low. The lowest thing I ever did was marry you. Giving you a doormat, hope and fantasies. That's a stain on my entire life. Chloe's words were like flying daggers. At first, I was in agony, but slowly, the pain faded. I was numb, I was dead. Though my body remained, my soul had perished. Carol and Robert were still chiming in. They said Ryan was now the CEO of a major investment company, and following him would make us rich. Chloe, exhausted from yelling, gasped for breath. Ethan, listen carefully. This time you're writing a 5,000-word self-reflection. Not just this month, but for the next year, you won't touch me. She imperiously turned to leave, just as my voice, devoid of inflection, reached her. Chloe, let's get a divorce. Chapter 5. Hearing me say that, all three of them froze. After a moment, Robert was the first to laugh. Divorce. Who are you trying to scare? Like a pesky dog, you won't leave even when we hit you. If you had the ability to divorce, pigs would fly. Carol also snorted disdainfully. Isn't that the truth? Such an act. Who are you trying to intimidate with divorce? I see. Fine now. Hurry up and cook. And mop all the floors. I see getting lazier and lazier. And no braised pork for you tonight. HMPH. I guess we can't be too nice to your type. Give an inch, take a mile. They didn't believe me, and Chloe looked at me, with an insightful yet cold gaze. Before she spoke, she sighed slowly. Ethan, what's the point? Do you really think he qualified to play hard to get? That trick only works on people who care about you. Do you think I care about you? What if I really agree? Then it'll be too late for you to regret it. You're not going to play the suicide card again to avoid divorce, are you? So boring. I suddenly laughed. It was a completely relaxed laugh. I was laughing at myself for loving Chloe for a full 9 years. 4 years in college, 5 years of marriage. What did I get? All I got was humiliation. My dignity was utterly trampled and ravaged. I was a servant, not even worthy of saying the word divorce. Forget it. I was already pathetic enough. I wouldn't humiliate myself further. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. at the Countess office. Don't be late. I left Chloe's house without looking back. I didn't go home that night. Chloe didn't contact me, but called at dinner time. Come back and cook immediately. I am starving. Beep, beep. I hung up immediately. Robert's call came next. You young punk. How dare you hang up on your mom? Beep, beep. This time, I not only hung up on Robert but also blocked him. That night, I stayed at a youth hostel, an 8-bed dorm room for $20 a night. Because I hadn't worked in years, I had no income, only a few $100s for groceries in my phone. Even then, Carol would occasionally check my bank statements. The next day, I arrived at the Countess office on time, but Chloe, as expected, didn't show up. She still didn't believe I would actually divorce her. I had to call Chloe. The busy signal rang for over 10 seconds before she finally answered. It was Chloe's lazy, impatient voice. Are you annoying me? I am an adult. I have the right to stay out all night. I paused, then understood. Chloe hadn't gone home last night either. I am waiting for you at the Countess office to get a divorce. Enough. Stop feigning concern. Hamming up. I didn't sleep well last night. Just as Chloe was about to hang up, I heard a man's low chuckle. Chloe, tell your doormat to bring us a morning after pill. I think I might have had a little leak last night, worried about getting pregnant. It was Ryan. They had slept together illicitly again last night. By rights, I should have been jealous and angry, but I had already found peace. Chloe's commanding voice rang out. Did you hear that? Go to the pharmacy and buy a morning after pill. I am at the Regal, room 502. I didn't send her the morning after pill. Instead, I went straight to the courthouse and filed for divorce. It wasn't until Chloe received the court summons that she finally believed me. Ethan, are you serious? Yes, I am. You won't regret it. Don't come crying to me afterward. I absolutely will not regret it. Fine, you've got guts. I'll sign. You'll have your day begging at my door. Chloe signed the papers. 9 years as a doormat, 5 years of humiliating marriage, officially ended. I chose to leave with nothing, making no demands for property, because that was my last shred of dignity. I had planned to return to a smaller town, or find work in one of the major cities. I had been out of the workforce for years. I couldn't waste any more time. Unexpectedly, one of my former mentors came to this city to start a big data company. He specialized in providing data services to various departments and businesses. He extended an offer to me. Fortunately, even though I hadn't worked these past few years, I hadn't neglected my technical studies in my free time. So, at my mentor's company, I flourished and was quickly promoted to technical. It turned out that when one door closes, another opens. I no longer followed Chloe's life, but I often saw Ryan in the media. He was reportedly the CEO of an overseas investment company, with several world-class investment projects under his belt. The lowest return on investment was 50%. Better projects even offered returns of several times the initial investment. Ryan received a lot of media publicity, and whether it was the old classmate group chats, or the Jiang family group chat ID forgotten to leave, I frequently saw photos and videos of Chloe and Ryan inseparable. They had publicly reunited. One day, I saw Chloe post something on her social media. After taking so many detours, I finally returned to the right path. Luckily, after half a life spent wandering, he's still that same young man. So, to Chloe, I was just a detour, wasn't she the same to me? I chuckled self-deprecatingly and blocked Chloe too. I proactively severed my last ties with her. But after all, Chloe and I had been married for 5 years. Even if I didn't want to contact her, I would still hear news about her through various channels. Chloe had resigned and was now Ryan's private assistant, specifically helping him promote investment projects and attract new members. I didn't know how Chloe's performance was outside, but apparently, almost all of the Jiang family's relatives and friends had joined Ryan's financial projects. Because it was an international financial project, the entry threshold was very high, at least 500,000. But because both Chloe and my former in-laws adamantly guaranteed there would be no problems, and Ryan, this new son-in-law, was far more impressive than Ethan, the former son-in-law, they were certain they wouldn't lose money. Coupled with Ryan's opulent lifestyle, living in a mansion, driving luxury cars, wearing designer brands, and spending lavishly, the Jiang family's relatives and friends had no doubts. They eagerly joined. Some reportedly even invested their wedding savings. Some even sold their houses to invest. One night, my phone suddenly received a call from an unfamiliar number. It was Chloe. "Ethan, why did you block me? Now I have to borrow a nurse's phone." On the other end of the line, Chloe's voice was filled with dissatisfaction. "I am hospitalized because of a ruptured ovarian cyst. Come and stay with me. Ryan is busy with work, and he's the best at taking care of patients, aren't you?" A ruptured ovarian cyst. That's usually caused by intense marital intimacy. It seemed Chloe and Ryan hadn't been idle at night since they reunited. When and I were married, she thought once a month marital intimacy was too much, finding it dirty, disgusting, and filthy. But with Ryan, she was so reckless, so uncaring of her own body. It was the epitome of a double standard. She must be in a lot of pain now, right? But what did that have to do with me? "I am busy, Ethan. What do you mean? How can you be so heartless? I just dumped you. And now you're retaliating against me. How petty. If you come, I'll pay you. Is 300 a day enough? HMPH, I have plenty of money now. Our handles tens of millions in funds every day." She was proudly showing off her wealth. "Chloe." I interrupted her. "I used to be your doormat, but now I want to be a human." After hanging up, I went back to work. Our company recently landed a big contract to partner with financial regulatory authorities to develop an anti-fraud early warning software. Because everyone receives a lot of information every day, much of it contains false and fraudulent information. Our job was to use big data to identify this data and then issue warnings for information that might involve fraud. Unexpectedly, after our safety early warning system went online, the first financial risk company listed was Ryan's investment company. Based on our data, Ryan's operational methods closely resembled a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme is a common investment fraud, whose core is robbing Peter to pay Paul, and building a fortune from nothing. It uses money from new investors to pay interest and short-term returns to older investors, creating the illusion of profitability to lure more money. This was a house of cards. Once no new people invested money, the promised high returns to older investors would disappear, the scam would collapse, and the fraudsters would flee. Only those who dreamed of getting rich would be left utterly ruined. After our warning information went live, many investors were indeed scared, and quickly pulled their investments, unwilling to continue chasing the dream of wealth with Ryan. Even some of Chloe's relatives and friends specifically called me to ask, "Is really a scammer?" I can't confirm he's a scammer, but I can say this method is very dangerous. Normal investments don't have such high returns. It's more profitable than robbing a bank. Something out of the ordinary must be going on. It's always best to be careful. Hearing me say this, a few of Chloe's relatives and friends indeed backed out. Chloe and Ryan stormed in, furious, to our company. "Ethan, how shameless can you be? He truly a contemptible person. He jealous of Ryan, so he trying to ruin his career. This is a crime." Chloe was cursing loudly at me, and I finally came face to face with Ryan. Ryan's face was full of contempt. "Ethan, You were my substitute for a few years. Do you really think he qualified to be on equal footing with me? Bah. He not fit to tie my shoes. I warn you, publicly apologize in the media immediately. Restore our company's reputation. Otherwise, I'll sue you and make you rot in jail. The old me, whenever Chloe glared, would be trembling with fear. The current me, however, was calm and collected, completely unbothered. It turned out there were no men who were afraid of their wives in this world, only men who loved their wives. Since I no longer loved Chloe, I naturally wasn't afraid anymore. Our company's findings are based on big data. If you disagree, take it up with our legal department. I am very busy, so I won't see you out. I gave them a cold, dismissive send-off. You dare to kick me out? Chloe looked incredulous. You are someone else's woman now, and I am a moral person. I never have lingering ties with a taken woman. The sarcasm in that sentence was palpable. Chloe's face flushed, and she walked away bitterly. Ethan, I'll regret this. She stormed out, almost colliding with my pure and beautiful secretary. Get out of my way, Chloe said arrogantly. But then she paused, looking at my secretary's face. My secretary looked strikingly similar to her, only younger and prettier. To salvage his reputation, Ryan continued running ads in the media. At the same time, he lived an even more extravagant and showy lifestyle to display his power to everyone. He also booked out the entire venue at the city's most luxurious 5-star hotel to announce his engagement to Chloe. This was meant to prove that he had nothing to hide and that people could invest with confidence. He even sent me an invitation. This was, of course, a provocation. On the day of the engagement, Ryan rented 12 Bentleys just for guest pickup and drop-off. The entire venue was adorned with flowers and opulent. Attendees included Ryan's business partners, his major investors, and close relatives and friends. Few had taken my advice to withdraw their investments. Most of Chloe's relatives and friends were still involved with Ryan. Some had even added more to their investments. My former in-laws made sarcastic remarks. When they saw me, they called me a doormat, an ungrateful wretch. They said they had been so good to me, yet I was trying to undermine and frame their new son-in-law. I just sneered and remained silent, treating their words as spouting nonsense. The engagement included a red carpet ceremony. Ryan, in a sharp suit, and Chloe, looking as beautiful as a flower, emerged. They walked gracefully down the red carpet, like a prince and princess from a fairy tale. Chloe saw me. Her eyes were filled with triumph and provocation. But just then, the banquet hall doors suddenly opened. Several police officers entered in single file. The hall erupted in a commotion. No one knew what was happening. Onley's face turned pale. He knew the jig was up. Ryan, you are suspected of financial fraud. Please come with us for investigation. Ah! Chloe gasped. My former in-laws were dumbfounded. The hall became even more chaotic. No. Ryan suddenly shoved Chloe hard, using her as a shield. He turned and ran towards the back door. Back in college, Ryan had abandoned her after using her. At this critical moment, Ryan abandoned Chloe once again. Philosophically speaking, you can't step into the same river twice. Yet, when it comes to marriage, some women genuinely fall for the same scoundrel twice. Of course, Ryan couldn't escape, because there were police officers at the hotel's back entrance too. He was arrested, and, wearing high heels, fell clumsily, landing right at my feet. Her hair was a mess, a picture of distress. Her once perfect makeup was streaked by tears, making her look utterly pathetic. She had also twisted her ankle. Sobbing and groaning, she cried, "It hurts. I am in so much pain. Ethan, please help me." Expressionless, I walked away. Ryan's case was massive. In reality, he was just a small player, fronting the operation, with bigger bosses behind the scenes. This fraud syndicate wasn't just causing trouble in our city. They were swindling and deceiving people in other cities too. The amount involved in the case had already reached over $1 billion. Now that these people were caught, the main boss received life imprisonment. Ryan, conservatively, would also face at least 10 years in prison. It seems scoundrels can't be punished by morals alone, only the law can deal with them. However, in cases like this, people are easy to catch, but the money is hard to recover, because a lot of the funds had already been transferred overseas. The family was in deep trouble. Over 30 relatives and friends had invested in Ryan's scheme through their introductions. The money these people alone lost was close to $20 million. Unable to get their money back, they went to the Jiang family's house every day to make a scene. They even trashed the Jiang family's home, claiming they were swindled because they followed the Jiang family's recommendations. They demanded compensation from the Jiang family. My former mother-in-law Carol and father-in-law Robert acted defiant, and as a result, both ended up in the hospital. This time, there was no one to take care of them. Chloe didn't dare to go home, and was also fired from her former job, because her boss had also invested $3 million under Chloe's persuasion. Naturally, it was payback time. Homeless, she could only come to my new place for help. My current monthly salary was $200,000, and I had already bought a spacious condo. She was banging on the door outside. "Ethan, I was wrong. Please open the door, okay? Everything you said was right. Ryan really is a huge liar. He lied to me, too. Boo-hoo, I have nothing left now. My parents are so angry they want to disown me. Boo-hoo, I only have you left. You'll take me in, won't you? You definitely will, because I know you've always loved me. I've also realized now, I love you. I want to have children with you. We can have marital intimacy 30 times a month. Even 3 times a night is fine. As long as you're satisfied. I'll let you do whatever you want." My door opened. But it wasn't me who came out, it was my new girlfriend. It was Lily, the secretary who bore a strong resemblance to Chloe. We had officially started dating. "You should leave. Ethan and I are getting married." Chloe looked as if she'd been struck by lightning. "Married? Impossible. Ethan, you love me." Chloe pushed Lily aside and rushed into the house, screaming hysterically at me. I replied, "That's all in the past. Now, she's my woman." I leaned in and kissed Lily on the cheek. "She's already pregnant. We're having a shotgun wedding." Chloe swayed, then suddenly pointed at Lily's face and screamed, "She looks so much like me. She's clearly just my stand-in. And you say you don't love me?" Then she yelled at Lily, "I advise you to know your place. Stand-ins never come to a good end." Chloe was trying to sow discord, and I didn't care at all, because I didn't see her as a stand-in, and she knew she wasn't one. Lily's resemblance to Chloe was merely a coincidence. Our feelings for each other developed at work. She made the first move. This was the first time I had ever enjoyed being pursued. I had even resisted her at first because of her resemblance to Chloe. It was Lily's gentle persistence that made me drop my guard and accept her completely. I put my arm around Lily and said, "You just have similar faces, but completely different souls. She is kind, innocent, and pure. You are selfish, promiscuous, and cold-hearted. Chloe, you're not even fit to be her stand-in. She's a treasure, you're just a fake." Chloe walked away, devastated. I heard she took her own life.